and or we just give someone too much influence on our life. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And giving somebody too much influence and the way that you think about it, you know, JT, so my boyfriend, recently he had like he's I have, we have different ways of communicating and just so I like things to be like very clear because I realized that I went through this phase of being an unclear person when I was in my early 20s and you know whatever and so now I've become, I like things to be clear and things like that, and even sometimes I'm not, nobody's perfect, but JT doesn't give the same importance to the same things that I do, and so sometimes he'll say something and I'm like, that's it, that doesn't make any sense according to this and blah blah blah, and anyway, and so we got in an argument over something that has no impact on my life whatsoever. And I can defend it and just say, yeah, but look, he's being unclear, he's wishy-washy and blah blah blah. And it's like, does that impact me? Really? Does that, is it really that important? And so I'm just taking a step back, and it's just I choose the way I react to these things, and I
Hmm.
choose, what's important. Fundamentally, if it hasn't got an impact on my life, should I be having any feelings about it whatsoever? Bar some exceptions, of course. If you see, you know, injustice happening, and then you
Hmm.
let it happen, I believe that you are part of the problem. But this wasn't injustice. This was, something about the car, and just it was nothing. It was just nothing. And so, the way you react to things also is on you.
Yeah. My boyfriend and I actually also had an argument not long ago, which is funny. We usually don't argue. Usually we're very harmonious and we talk about things and everything's like so calm and relaxed with us. And this was like a rare occasion where we had like this little blow up. I don't even know what to call it. And we didn't talk for a couple of days. And then in my mind, I was like, okay, I can approach this with anger and frustration, or I can remain calm and hear him out and understand what's going on in his mind before I decide for him or before I decide how to react. Like I'm a lot of times we argue with a person in our heads without actually talking to them first, and we already decide ahead of time how we're gonna respond without actually knowing what's really going on. And when you're in a mature relationship, your prerogative isn't to win the argument. It shouldn't be an ego boost, and it shouldn't be I want to win and I want to be the right one. There should be you should want to understand the person, see what the root of the problem is, and be able to do and be better next time and be there for each other. So I chose to first listen to what's going on in his mind and his train of thought. And when you realize that, and he was also scared of my reaction, but when he saw that I was being calm and listening to him, he was able to without getting defensive and without getting scared and without closing up even more. and and so that gave me the ability to really hear where it was coming from and understand, okay, he is very self-aware, he understands what he did wrong, he feels bad, and he hates that he caused me pain. So I'm saying, okay, fine, so then this is good. If you would have, you know responded otherwise, then I would have gotten a bit more upset and more, reacted differently. But that's why you have to react appropriately to the situation and remain calmly and understand that, especially when you're in a relationship, you don't want to have to fear for your relationship every single time there's an argument or disagreement. You want to know that you're strong enough to be able to respect each other, to be strong for each other, even in times where you're angry, and
That
you're able to communicate it to each other in a healthy way, that's productive and that gets you out in not only one unit but a stronger unit.
Yeah. What you just said about being able to get into an argument without fearing for your relationship is beautiful. I just watched a YouTube short of Chandler and Monica from Friends, and it was like,
Oh, Chandler.
oh, I know.
Oh, he was my favorite friend.
Oh, was he? Oh,
Oh,
I think it was linked to that, like the best Chandler and Monica moments.
yeah.
And so where they had gotten into an argument, and Chandler was like, um, "Oh, I guess it's over now," and Monica was like, "What?" And Chandler was like, "Well, we had an argument. Like, I guess it's over." She was like, "No, no, this is how adult relationships work. Like, welcome to
Hmm.
an adult relationship." And I was like, "That's just, you know, the person that you were with is the person that you was, the most likely to get into arguments with. Because
Hmm.
if you tell me that you don't ever get into arguments with your boyfriend, I'm willing to bet that you don't get into many arguments often. Like,
Yeah.
and it's just, but it happens sometimes. And so statistically, the one that you spend most of your time with is the one you're going to get into an argument with, because your guards are a bit lower and things like that. And that has to be okay. You know,
Yeah.
the when you work, there's this thing going around on social media, which is great, where they say you are not irreplaceable at your place of work. You are irreplaceable at home. And so that translates into your relationship as, the plans that you make with the person that you live with and or share your life with or things like that, they have way more stakes than just anything else.
Hmm.
It starts with, going on holiday and spending money, or maybe moving in together or getting married or having kids. And it's these big things of where, yeah, the stakes are bigger than just, spending the boss's money on this computer program, whatever. And so, yeah, you want to get into a relationship, and where if you get into an argument, the nature of your argument is just, you're not thinking, I'm rethinking my relationship. You're just tired and frustrated, and you just, and so it's happening, and then you're just going to rebuild. And so, what you did is a different version of what we did, which was just talking about it, where I was just like, maybe I'm overreacting. And he was just like, I agree, I'm unclear sometimes, and and I need to be clearer. And so, and that just,
Yeah. And we're also human beings at the end of the day. And with any two people that are going to be, tough interactions, you are going to clash sometimes. And I mean, recently, recently we've both been, with all the situation going on, we've both been overloaded. There was a period of time we were spending a bit more time together. And it was like, with going on together, it was sort of inevitable for us to not clash. One, it's fine, it's completely fine, especially when you're in a relationship and that's the one person you can put your guards down next to, and
yeah,
can just let go and be frustrated and let out your steam. And these days, connecting it with the wokeness is like, you feel so superior that no one should be able to hurt you or harm you, or someone blows at them and then they crumble. Like, don't, like, don't hurt me, no one's allowed to hurt me, no one's allowed to. And yes, we don't want to be hurt, but like, we have to understand that it's going to happen, and we can't be so weak as to not expect anyone to not ever hurt us, or to not have arguments, or just up and leave every time something is a bit difficult, or to say, oh, no one should hurt me, or no one should be this. Like, it's naive to go through life and expect to 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 be they'll just have a shield around you, and everyone treading on glass next to you, to not, God forbid, offend you in any way.
yeah. And if you're the type of person, you know find your triggers of just, if so, coming back to JT and I, where we had this argument, and when I was angry about the miscommunication, I was telling him, what type of man are you? Are you the type of man who does this or does this? And I was like, and then I was kind of hearing myself, and I was just like, but it's okay if you're like this. It's just I need to know and adapt. Anyway, it was it.
Yeah.
Also, I'm PMSing, and it was right in the middle of it, and it's not always a good excuse, but I guess sometimes you overreact. Anyway, but it's finding, making it okay to realize the type of person you are, and then just finding your people. So these
Yeah.
people who get offended very easily, just fine, you get offended easily for whatever reason. I mean, what a luxury to be offended because somebody calls you he instead of she, or the other way around. Think
Yeah.
about what about what other problems in the world. Like, great, that's your biggest problem. Consider, okay, take yourself out of that situation, go find your people and be with them. Don't
Yeah.
expect the whole world to change for you, and don't waste your energy on doing that. It's just not going to happen. The gay community, a lot of people in the gay community of the older generation um, are saying things like, we fought the battles to be accepted, but the way that we did it is just we minded our own business, and we weren't, offensive to the straight community, and we weren't forcing them into accepting us. We were just
Yeah.
being, and then just talk to people who didn't, weren't offended, and then they helped talk to people who were kind of on the fence, and that's how it happened. You are too aggressive, and that so the older generation gay community is saying to the younger generation, like woke movement, saying, we get it, you want to be accepted, that's fine, but you're just not doing it the right way. Just you know you do you, leave everybody else alone, you do you. And
Yeah. People today expect special privileges and special treatment, and they think, that they deserve things that other people don't, or complaining that certain type of clothes are in the back of the store, not in the front, celebrating your identity. It's like, you want to celebrate your identity, go ahead. Who are you that you should have special privileges just because your gender or your sexuality or whatever it is, that everyone else should have, like, it should be in your face? I mean, and you know what, especially if you're going to criticize the other side, if you want to have that special privilege, then don't go ahead and criticize the other side for being themselves, and for it doesn't go both, like, you can't expect it to go both ways. And it just really is